We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 97 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It's great to be back. We've got a really special show ahead of us tonight with some really special friends. I'm joining you here from Portland, Oregon. It is a beautiful evening here, and I'm really happy to be back. Of course, joined by several of my favorite people. Hydra Sheep, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great, coming at you all from the greater Vancouver area. I am just awesome, but enough about me. Let's talk about all these other wonderful people that we got going.
Very good. Electric Sheep City, welcome back, of course. How are you?
Meowdy, I'm good. Hailing, of course, from Southeast Texas for about 2 more months. So excitement abounds for tonight.
Nice. Yes, we've got a really special show and some really special guests. So very happy to be hanging out with some good friends tonight. Blutrane, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
I'm good. It's Friday. It's been a long week and just looking forward to kicking back, having a good time.
Absolutely. And NHL, welcome to the show. Joining us all the way from Sweden, where it is the middle of the night right now. Welcome back to the show. It's great to have you. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here. The reason why I know it's night is because we're in March, where the sun sets and rises at normal times. If it was winter, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And the same with summer. The sun would be coming up right now. So either way, good to be here.
Excellent. Well, really excited to have you all here. And let me pass things over to Sheep to talk about the show format before we jump into things.
This sheep has molded into a Hydra, because I'm going to tell you about how this show works tonight. So for those joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how this show works. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/BornToBeWildHS. And the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all of the podcast apps. But if you're listening or watching us live tonight, we thank you. Yes, you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you so much to the people who are joining us live tonight with Twitch. It's awesome to be hanging out with you. Really excited for the show we have. Before we get into the main topic of tonight's show, do want to say a really quick but important thank you to Shokunin and to all of the other patrons of our show. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, comment on this video when it comes out on YouTube. Another simple way to support the show is to leave a comment or a review on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, or your podcast platform of choice. It helps other people find us. If you're watching live on Twitch, we do have some really cool emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to this channel, which is free if you use Amazon Prime. And finally, if you'd like to support the show financially, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. If you would like to interact with any of us personally, please join our Discord. It is a free and amazing online community of friends that we've made from all across the world who really enjoy talking about Wild Hearthstone. We've got deck lists and memes and all kinds of fun stuff there. Links to all of this stuff and more can be found at our website, which is www.borntobewildhs.com. All right, now on to the real reason that you are all here tonight. So tonight we are covering a very special topic, the Wild Hearthstone People's Choice Awards. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Blutrane, kindly ask him to give us a brief introduction. What are the Wild People's Choice Awards? How did you come up with this idea? And a little intro before we get started with our first award.
Yeah, so the hope was to celebrate this wild community that we're all a part of, that we all are so invested in. And where this all came about, pretty simple. I went to bed angry one night playing Hearthstone, or after having played Hearthstone, and I dreamt that I did this. And it was a pretty mundane dream. I woke up the next day, thought that I had all of the framework set up because, it happened. It didn't. I told NHL about this, and NHL, encouraged me to actually make it happen. Set up a Google form. It'll be really easy. Expected, 20 or 30 people to reply. No big thing. Kind of took on a little bit of a life of its own. and really wonderful to be here with you guys to kind of highlight the various community members that were nominated and ultimately won. So that's really what it's all about.
Absolutely. And also I will say, thank you to everybody who voted. The turnout was really, it was really well received, and the turnout was really high, a lot higher than I think any of us thought it might be. And so really exciting. And the wild community in general is great. And that's the reason that we do all of this to begin with. So very cool.
At the time of close, we had 445 votes, which was 10 times greater than the volume that I expected. So some really interesting results. And we can go ahead and dive right in. So 14 categories had nominees. And the first one was the best wild morning stream. So just to qualify, morning stream is, or stream time is based on Eastern time zone, because we all know that the world revolves around Eastern time. And it was thought that we would break up streamer categories by time as opposed to size, because the reality is that there aren't a whole lot of streamers, and people tend to cluster around certain times of the day. So we had 3 categories: morning, afternoon, and evening. Who's to say if that was the best way of doing it? I think there were a lot of lessons learned throughout this for next time that we can improve upon. There were some notable misses as well, so I do apologize, and I'll shout some of them out at the end. So why don't we go in and see who won the best wild morning stream?
All right. So the winner of the best morning stream is none other than Martian Boo.
Hooray!
Hooray! All right. Yeah. So, Martian Boo, the winner here of best morning stream, 52.5% of the votes, which is just an incredible number. And we do have interviews for a number of these that Blutrane conducted. Blutrane, do you want us to play these before we talk about them, or you want to talk about the stuff? What order do you want to go in?
Well, why don't we play the interview first, and then we can do a recap after.
Perfect. All right. Let's listen to this real quick.
The category is the best wild morning stream, and the winner of this category is Martian Boo. Martian, you completely dominated this category. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. It's good to win.
No doubt. Well, it's well deserved. Congratulations. Thank
you.
No problem. As a relative latecomer to this time slot, what do you believe differentiates your content and brand to have such a broad and universal appeal among different types of wild Hearthstone gamers?
Well, I think part of the reason that it goes so well is the consistency. I do tend to stream a lot, so I am often available to be found. As far as like there being a broad, viewer base, I try to appeal to memers a little bit, appeal to tryhards a little bit, because I'm a little bit of both. And I'm also I try to keep it relatively PG while also not being scoldy or anything like that. So I try to have an environment that just about anyone can participate in.
I do have to say that I enjoy your stream. You're always very engaged with chat. It's very seldom that you miss a message in chat, even though it moves really fast. I don't know how you do it. And even in challenging situations, you tend to keep a very positive mindset without coming across saccharine. So I think that, I think you're, if I may say so, one of the finest streamers, not even just in Hearthstone, just in general. And I'm not just saying this to flatter you. I really appreciate your craft and what you do. So I think this is a very well-earned award. Any shout-outs or acknowledgements you'd like to make?
Well, shout out to the viewers, of course. I couldn't do this at all without them. Shout out to my wife. Definitely the same deal. This is all possible because of her. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations once again.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think that could have gone to a nicer human being. I like his stream. Like he said, it's very PG. I feel like it's something I could let I've got a 13-year-old. He could watch it and get positive vibes, constructive You know, when Martian loses, he loses in a more graceful way than when I lose. Like, I feel like he's a really good example of a gamer that, you know, he can really set an example of how you take your loss and you move on to the next game. So good for Martian.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. He's done such an amazing job at being even keeled and even tempered, and I agree as a parent myself, I kind of echo what Hydra said, that I feel confident. My son the other day was wanting to learn some deck, and I said, oh, you know, he wanted to watch someone on YouTube or Twitch play it, and I was like, oh, watch Martian. Like, I have, you know, I feel like I don't have to watch over his shoulder because I know that Martian is the you know, consummate gentleman, and it's just so even tempered and even keeled. It's such a nice human being or alien, however you want to look at that. But you know, we've had Martian on the show in the past too, and I just great people. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and
Thank you
I
guys.
think Blue absolutely nailed it whenever he said positive without being saccharine. Like, it's just completely, it's always legitimate, and like you believe that as well. So absolutely.
Yeah, and I think you guys are missing key points with Martian streams as well. One of the things he does that you can argue that some of the others do, but not to the same extent. Martian streamer is much more teaching stream, in my opinion, than the others here, where you can tune in and, you know, if you ask, he'll calmly walk you through everything in a very kind manner, and it goes a long way into developing that bond between the viewer and streamer. And yeah, it's just a bunch of people behind computer screens, but being able to ask these questions and get such a collected response is so useful and really, really generous. So this is really well deserved.
Absolutely.
Looking
Yeah,
at the
the morning
numbers,
is definitely on lock. Yeah, so a little bit about the ratio here. I just want to clarify before we do dive in a little bit about the numbers. Even though we had 445 votes, voting across categories wasn't 445 even. We're not going to be sharing all the specific numbers. But yeah, just kind of adding to what you said, NHL, anything about the results that kind of underscore any interesting trends within the wild community or that time slot for streamers.
yeah, I think we're going to see this trend later, but of these nominees, Martian has been streaming in the mornings the longest, I believe. I know Slizzle had been doing it for a long time as well, and he had also doing night streams, so it's been a bit back and forth there. But it feels like with this, people really valued that consistency of always having that same time in terms of over the course of, you know, several years. And
Yeah,
Marston's been
consistency is very important. Very, very important for, I'm sure, for retention and for interaction with folks. And when you've got it like clockwork, people know when they can find you and when you're available. I'm sure that is quite helpful as well.
right, and that means that they keep the same audience and have these people coming back over and over, which is exactly what you want. So very well deserved. Congrats to them, and congrats to all the others for being nominated. Because being nominated means you're a well-known streamer and you should be recognized.
Oh, absolutely. And so, yeah, big shout outs to our runner-up, Engine, and then nominees who, just to note, they're in alphabetical order. So it has nothing to do with the number of votes that anybody got. They're in alpha order. So Bat Maisel, Romanu Joke, and Slizzle466. And like NHL was saying, just to be nominated is an honor. And so these are great folks. If you're into wild content, I assume that you would be, otherwise you wouldn't be here, but you definitely want to follow these great people here.
Yeah, so moving on, our next category is best afternoon streamer. Again, that's Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see who won the best afternoon streamer category.
Yeah. All right. So jumping back over here, the winner of the best afternoon streamer category is Raffle. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Yay. All right. Yeah. So let me jump right in. We do have an interview as well with Raffle.
The category is the best wild afternoon streamer, and the winner of this category is Raffle. This was quite close. Raffle, congratulations. How does it feel to be a winner?
This is one I'm pretty surprised about because like there's a lot of competition in this slot historically and right now, including some of my good friends that happen to stream at that same time slot. So surprised, honored, confused as to why people watch me sometimes, but I still appreciate the love. So thank you all for voting, and especially those that voted for me.
I mean, you've had quite the storied streaming career. You've run the gamut from starting small into being one of the largest, if not the largest, wild Hearthstone streamer. And you've also transformed quite a bit. In the early days, you were quite competitive, hanging out in top 10, always going for that rank 1 finish. And now you're focusing more on deck innovation and executing creative ideas. And a lot of your viewers probably only know you for that. I am curious, though, what advice can you share with those looking to grow their stream, but also potentially transform their brand? You did so successfully going from hyper competitive to innovation and creation, and I think that sometimes people fear that changing their brand, they might lose viewership instead of growing, such as you did.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple pieces to that. In terms of what recommendation I can give to people in terms or how they can grow their brand in any way is, especially as a streamer, is to create content off of Twitch. Even before I started streaming, I was writing articles for Hearthstone top decks, and that's how people even knew who I was when I first started streaming. And so that was how I got people to my stream. They followed me on Twitter after reading my articles, and then made it to my stream. Really, a lot of the growth happened both as I made that transition to playing more goofy off-meta decks, as well as started posting content over on YouTube. And YouTube is, historically much more discoverable in terms of the content that it provides, because it has a recommendation algorithm that shows you content that's similar to other people's, even if your video isn't getting views. Initially, if it can start recommending that video, and actually you can start bringing people over to your stream from YouTube. So the biggest recommendation that I would give is to find something that you're good at. I happen to be practiced and at least decent at video editing, so that was the thing that I felt I was good enough at. So I started doing that. But if you're into graphic design, you could maybe create infographics on Instagram or Facebook and build an audience somewhere else, and then bring them over to Twitch, because Twitch is notoriously very bad at discoverability. So it's like it's hard to grow on as a streamer just creating or just going live for hours on end for a day. So that, I guess, would be the recommendation for someone that wants to grow their brand, is just find a thing that you're good at and kind of work towards that. In a similar vein, I was making a push for single digit legend ranks pretty consistently, but like I don't think that I was consistently a good enough like top level player to do that and have that be my identity as a streamer. I think what I've always liked doing and what I've always been good at is building and refining in particular decks that whether competitive or not have a cohesive game plan in mind and work towards that game plan. So when I made that shift, it was shifting from a thing that like I thought would make me popular into the thing that I was good at and actually enjoyed, which in turn made me more popular, I think, or it made me at least appeal to a broader audience. So yeah, I think that just leaning into what I like to do and what I was good at kind of ended up providing quite a bit of growth as well. So it worked out in the end. And I think that really, I don't know that I would have been able to continue creating content if I just like kept going for the high level finishes, because that honestly made me start interacting with the game in a way that I stopped enjoying. Like they put pressure on the results of the game so much that like my day was kind of dictated by how well my Hearthstone run went that day. And like sometimes you have bad days in Hearthstone, and that's not really a good healthy way to live your life. So I think that overall a lot of positive changes resulted in positive growth, which is I guess good long term for me.
Well, I think you've shown that you can live comfortably in both of those worlds, as evident by the last Heroic Tavern Brawl we had. You had a lot of 12-run wins. I remember seeing all these comments like, "Can you believe Raffle hit 12 wins?" And I remember thinking to myself, "Yeah, yeah, I can." So I mean, you always have that if you ever want to revisit it. But appreciate you sharing your insights on this topic. Any shout outs or acknowledgments you'd like to make?
Yeah, I'd just like to shout out all of the other streamers in that afternoon slot because, like I said, it is very competitive. You know, you've got Get Me Out, Corb, as well as Otters, who's started streaming quite a bit recently and like seeing huge amount of growth in a short period of time. So kudos to him for that, as well as Goku, who always you know puts on a good show as well. So yeah, like I said, it was a competitive slot, and I'm surprised that I was able to eke out a win there. I'd also, I guess, like to give a shout out to my wife who kind of helped push me towards leaving my day job, which I wouldn't be able to stream at that slot if it weren't for that little nudge that she was kind of giving me over the course of a few months when I was trying to make a decision on that. So yeah, I guess that's a big part of why I'm where I am now as well.
It's always really important to have the support from your loved ones. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, Raffle. Congrats again.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Raffle, definitely you deserve this one. Being in that afternoon slot, I don't always get to watch Raffle, but if I have that day off or I'm at home, I definitely like to tune in. There is something to be said about the numbers that Raffle gets when he does do these meme decks and people are watching him, something that's completely off meta, and people are watching. And there has been times where I've lost to someone who's playing something that seems to be completely jank, and I get frustrated. But there's been a few times, more than a few times, where up in the top corner it says Raffle, and I'm playing some sort of meta deck like Pirate Warrior or something like that, and I've been wrecked by Raffle completely. And it's not even a bad thing. I'm like, wow, like hats off. I just got wrecked, and Raffle just beat me with something that probably didn't even really stand a chance. And it is an honor to lose when stuff like that happens. So congratulations, Raffle.
That's great. Raffle is wonderful. I've known Raffle for a long time. Back into the wild days, and I've loved watching Raffle's growth from Twitch to YouTube to making the front page of the Hearthstone client launcher. Just incredible. And Raffle's always a gentleman. The thing I love about Raffle is he's not only is he nice, but he's really entertaining. I always love the decks that he plays because it truly, I think, embodies wild, like what wild means, because we always know that Raffle's playing some crazy, weird deck that probably shouldn't win. And like I've found myself appearing many times in Raffle highlight reel videos, losing to these crazy decks, and it's just a blast, and well deserved, Raffle. So great job. And unfortunately I can't really watch the streams usually because I'm at work, but when I can, and definitely would, if you can't watch him live, check him out on YouTube as well, and we will chat about that more later.
Absolutely. Yeah. Congratulations, Raffle. I'm mostly engaged with Raffle's YouTube videos as well because of the time thing there. And always an amazing video, always a really entertaining and engaging and zany and wild deck. So congratulations to Raffle. Well earned, well deserved, and really great interview with you as well, Blue, because hearing his history and support structure is really illuminating and heartwarming. So congratulations, Raffle.
Yeah, really, everything you said has been true so far, and there's not much more to cover. The only thing I really want to say is like, the professionalism in production really goes a long way. And as Raffle said, with Twitch not being great for discovery, the fact that he puts in all this effort into making himself discoverable and easily accessed, very accessible on Twitch, makes it, super deserved in my opinion. We all know the other nominees. These are all friends of ours, of course. Several of them have been, if not all of them, has been on the show. You guys can correct me on that if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I think they have at one time or another. So yeah, Corbett and Get Meowth, Goku, and Otters. So yeah, big congrats to all of our runner-up and our nominees.
Yeah, it really goes to show, how well known these guys are and how impressive it is that Raffle was able to come on top.
Absolutely. Well deserved, Raffle. Congrats. Let's jump over. So sorry, Blutrane, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I was just going to introduce the next category. So congrats to everyone. A stacked category. We can see that it was close. But moving on, our next category is Best Late Night and Very Late Night Streamer, depending on your time zone. Let's find out who won that category.
Yeah, and actually, let me ask you, what does that mean in terms of what time? Like, what is late night, or what do you mean by late night?
So the way that I likened it is if you're on the East Coast, like when Colbert will be on, we're talking like 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning. And for those of us on the West Coast, that would be more nighttime, but in that kind of general time frame.
Very good. All right, well, let's jump right into it. Switch the screen here. So the award for Best Late Night Stream goes to, drumroll, Zeddy. All right. 29%, 108 votes here. With congrats to our runners up, Keith Numbers, nominees Concerned Mom, Jack, and Shia Wasina. So yeah, big congrats to Zeddy over here. And we do have an interview as well. I'd love to talk about this, but let me play the interview first, and then we'll get back to it.
The category is Best Wild Late Night Stream, and the winner is Zeddy. Zeddy, congratulations on taking the late night category. How are you feeling?
I am feeling very surprised. I am humbled, and I appreciate the honor, and thank you to everyone who voted me in. Even if I don't stream Wild completely full time, I definitely dabble in it a ton, especially my achievement hunting series, which always takes place in the absolute depths of the Wild dumpster, which is a lot of fun.
Well, congratulations. Wild is a small community, especially relative to the rest of Hearthstone. What do you think it means that a Hearthstone streamer like yourself, who doesn't focus on Wild exclusively, is the most popular streamer in the Wild format when your attention shifts to the format in that time period?
It's pretty crazy that many people still will associate me with Wild, and I think that's kind of a cool thing, because for me, it's Hearthstone's a game that just has so much to offer, and I always feel like when you're just stuck in one mode, you're just not really enjoying the full, breadth of the game. There's so much to explore, and I feel like Wild, though, you have like everything at your hand. Like you have the entire tool set. You have every single card available except for like what, two that are banned, or one that's banned. I can't remember at this point. But regardless,
two bans.
two Stealer and Demon Seed, where you kind of, you can become like as flexible as possible. You have the knowledge of cards more than anything, and as someone who likes to try and cover everything in Hearthstone, I feel like people, I don't know if they gravitate to that. Where I was like, okay, well, Wild's like the absolute fundamental base level where everything's available. So I don't know if they associate that with, but also I think I'm in terms of winning, it's probably more of just I'm fortunate, I guess, that people like Jack and Keith and some other guys have kind of stepped back lately. And because if I was my vote, I would have given it to Keith or Jack if they were like, well, Keith, period. I love Keith, and Jack if he was more constant. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of that part of it where, maybe like, well, Keith just quit, so we're not going to vote for him. I don't know, but I appreciate it. But my vote definitely would have gone to Keith or Jack or someone like that. That does, but they just, I guess they don't stream enough or short memory. I have no idea, or maybe people just like me for some crazy reason, or it's probably just Nova. Nova's a really cutie, and they like seeing Nova.
It's probably a little bit of all of the above, but I think you raise a very interesting point that I want to touch on. There are many wonderful, late night Wild exclusive streamers that have opted to move on, or have taken a step back, or are streaming other games. And that's kind of unfortunate, because I think that I'm of the mind that the more the merrier. And I'm wondering what, in your view, can be done to halt or even possibly reverse this trend.
I just Blizzard show some love for WoW. Get the WoW up and a few more balance changes here and there to appease the community, or make, I don't know, I feel like it's not seen as a mode that Blizzard supports. Therefore, it's something that for some people, if they get a little bit frustrated with the metagame, they're more likely just to say screw it. They don't care anyways. Whereas, if it's a bad metagame or whatever, the people like, well, they care, and they'll eventually get to making it better. And I feel like it's a lot easier to quit Wild or move on from Wild, because it's just like, well, it's never going to get better. They rarely do anything. So why would I not just move on? And I hope that I know they're trying to make strides, it seems like, to appease Wild a bit more. We had a balance change pretty recently that definitely changed things up. Maybe not enough for some people, including myself, but there's efforts there, and maybe we get some more Wild stuff in the future. That'd be great, and maybe it'll bring more eyes to Wild and more content creators to Wild to stick around. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that the evening crew doesn't seem like the most very consistent crew these days. And even myself, I'm a full-time streamer, but I've been playing like duels a lot, and I will be playing Wild though. Legend Climb's starting pretty soon, so
very
be doing
cool.
that.
I agree that the balance change recently was a very nice kind of reversal on past policy and has opened up the metagame some. I know, I agree, it's not perfect, but I do definitely think that that's trending in a more positive direction.
Yeah.
So more of that, please. I definitely agree that that an active hand in just kind of putting some guardrails around the worst excesses of the format, I think, would probably be enough to appease most people. Any shout outs you'd like to make before we wrap?
Just shout out the entire Wild community that just, I don't know, it's the most I'd say of all, like, I have all these communities that come together all the time, whether it's standard, duels, arena. Wild's got some of the most passionate, amazing people that have supported me in my stream for the last 4+ years. I've been doing Wild pretty much the entire time. Just thank you to everybody. Like, there's just too many people to possibly name. But I'll give a quick shout out to Keith Numbers, who recently retired from streaming. I think he should have won. I love the dude. I think he's great, and I'll just, hopefully whatever he ends up doing, he kicks butt at. And if he ever wants to come back to streaming and take this award from me, challenge is on. You can always come and duke it out with me. I'd appreciate it.
You hear that, Keith? You've been called to action to come back, which I support. But if not, all the best on what it is that you decide to do. Hey, Zeddy, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations again on winning the category. I appreciate your humility, but I think that you certainly deserve it. You have an amazing following and a huge community that sticks with you when you join, when you explore these other game modes, and I think that this was well deserved, and a heartfelt congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Wow, yes, that was a very humble acceptance speech from Zeddy. And Zeddy has managed to build himself an insanely large community. I see his YouTube subs going up and up and up. He is a phenomenal player. He's got this ability to bring in all these people. While he can be, we all know it, he can be a controversial character, right? He's got these hot takes. He can be salty, but he's got this formula down right. He is doing something great, and he's got all these followers. People are behind him. And I respect somebody that can, really bring all these people together. And I think Zeddy is doing an excellent job. Very well deserved. He's put in a lot of hard work. Nobody gets to, I don't know what he's at. He's in the like 30,000 YouTube subscribers or something like that. Nobody gets that to that level without putting in the effort and doing things right. And he's doing it. So congratulations, Eddie.
Yeah, absolutely. Big congrats, Zeddy. And, one of the things that I love about Zeddy is just his passion for the game is so evident, and I know he's very outspoken, and he's so fun to watch because like Hydra said, Zeddy is sometimes controversial, but the passion of it shines through, and really appreciate that. He's very, very good at the game, and where I find myself, again, where I don't always watch a ton of streams, but the YouTube content as well, and very many times I've been trying to learn a deck, and lo and behold, Zeddy has done a video on it where he explains how to play it and the interactions and the combos, and it's been a very big help, and to watch his growth over the past year has been phenomenal. I have not seen someone skyrocket that quickly, and so very well done, Zeddy. And I second your notion. Congrats on the win, but I love Keith as well, and Keith, we miss you. Please come back. And so, anyways, yeah, very good, well deserved win, Zeddy. Congrats.
Yeah, congratulations, Zeddy. I will say, Zeddy being so involved in so many different game modes, even within Wild, he plays a lot of different aspects there too. One thing that I kind of go to Zeddy for the most is the achievement guides and the achievement decks. Whenever you're trying to clear an achievement, odds are that there's a Google Doc somewhere that Zeddy's put together that has not only the list, but also how to achieve that achievement, and just kind of ready for you there. So thank you very much for that resource as well, Zeddy. I really liked that interview as well. Zeddy had a really insightful read into like the nerfs and bans and how we actually are getting a lot more support now than we have. And I think that's kind of uplifting. And that's a really good take there. So, of course, also loved his shout out to the Wild community and, of course, to Keith as well. So congratulations, Zeddy. I think that was a great one.
You're muted, NHL.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was muted. I always do this. I do this in every single stream. I mute myself at some point because I have to like clear my voice or something, or I'm like grabbing water and then I forget to unmute. Happens every time. But the Zeddy Industrial Conglomerate just trucking on. It's surprising that even though he considers himself a Hearthstone player rather than a Wild player or duels player, standard player, arena player, made a whole tweet about it. So if any of you are wondering. But yeah, he has such a large fan base that he's able to bring people in from everywhere and win in a specific community awards. So having that kind of impact and footprint is really telling.
Late night's kind of my time when I get to participate in Hearthstone streams or watch them. So, I really want to take a moment to recognize Keith, our runner-up, a prolific streamer last year in 2021, and the nominees as well. These are among my favorite and most watched streams, and I still continue to watch them, even if they are exploring other content. Concerned Mom, Jack, Shia. So even if they're not streaming Hearthstone as much as they did, you should still certainly follow them. Because they're still going live on occasion.
Yeah.
Some of them more often than others, and they're absolutely wonderful. So yeah, big shout out to everyone in that category. I feel like I have a connection to it.
Absolutely, me too. Right. And we tend to fall into that same category there. It's work all day, play Hearthstone all night, and those are this is kind of the area where we live, and so yeah, near and dear to my heart as well. All right, hey, the next category is the best wild memer. So explain, before we jump into the winner of this category, can you explain what that means?
It means different things to different people. So when we nominated folks for this category, we were thinking people who are known for playing off meta, off the beaten path, joke decks that require 40, 50 games before their game plan can be executed. Excuse me. So all of these things rolled into one. So why don't we see the results and we can go through them?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so switching over to the best wild memer, the winner in this category is Dane. Congratulations, Dane, with runner-up, Mark McCasey. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Mark McZee.
Mark McZee, with nominees Raffle, Swagwar, and Wow Hobbs. So some very well-known players here and some great content. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just a note, I think that memeing has a really interesting audience outside of Twitch. We look at Mark McZee, mostly known for YouTube content.
Mhm.
And I think that this is really an interesting category because it kind of highlights different individuals who are making great content that might be a little bit off the beaten path, just like their deck choices. I never heard of Wow Hobbs before, but I was really impressed with what a large and loyal following that he has, right? So a wonderful category. I think that Wild as a format definitely attracts people to who want to explore the creative side of deck building, and these folks exemplify that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so for the first time that I feel like I discovered Dane quite a long time ago. The first thing that really stuck in my head is, doesn't he have like a Doom poster like right behind him, and he's got this arcade machine and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, who's this guy? And watching him, and he's playing all these meme decks, and also very well put together person. Seems to have this calm, cool attitude about him. Very like soft spoken while he's playing, and I'm like, oh, well, that looks cool. I want to try that, right? Like whenever I would hit, like the rank 5 floor, anybody in this category is kind of like where I wanted to follow and live. And Dane is definitely one of those people, because I just loved being able to take one of his decks and just sit there and do something fun for a while. So definite props and congratulations.
Yeah, Dane. Dane is like historic in the name of Wild Hearthstone. Dane's been around for a long time. Not only has he been streaming Wild, but he's innovated decks. He's been, I think, a representative of the community as a whole. I recall him hosting or casting the Wild Open way back when they used to do that thing, and then you watch Dane, and between his lovely accent, and he's just so funny and so entertaining. Like, my goodness, the entertainment value is super high. Sometimes a deck is a meme, and sometimes it wins, and sometimes it does both. And I've nothing but love for Dane. I think he's fantastic, and I really can't say enough good things about Dane. As a great choice here.
Yeah, a great choice in a really stacked field too. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to different videos or streams of or Twitter accounts of all of these people, just to find something fun to play, right? So Dane, Mark, Raffle, Swag, Hobbs, an incredible group of people, and an incredible winner from an incredible crop. Our format of Wild just has such a, we have access to all of the cards. So there's so much meme potential there. And they all, and Dane in particular, makes the most of that unlimited potential. So congratulations, Dane.
Yeah, Dane is pretty unique in his audience, I feel. He kind of has the casual audience locked down. It feels like he kind of keeps to himself. So he's a bit separate from everyone. And really, him coming in here and just dominating tells you, how well known he is to the casual audience. The other big thing I want to point out is, where is it? How Raffle Dane just kind of dominated this in a sense where, taking up a third of the votes as a memer, like, you can get away by memeing a lot in Hearthstone, just in general. But Dane would come in and win with things. And then you look at HS Replay where
he had no business winning with those things. Yeah.
like he was playing decks in top 200 Legend that would get a legitimately sub 20% win rate on HS replay. I don't know how he did it. So really, this also kind of recognizes that he's one of the best players out there because he'll take actual garbage, okay, sub 20%, like that's unheard of, and then win games with it and provide all this content to these casuals. And yeah, they'll go try it and they'll realize that it's never going to win for them. But he does it and he does it consistently. And even though we have some others here that, play those similar decks, will do the same things, I don't know if we can say that they all do it as consistently as Dane does, because he will take those decks to legend. And not everyone else can say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Well, congrats again to Dane. So moving right along, our next category is Best Wild YouTube. Our winner was gracious enough to afford us an interview, so let's roll the tape.
Yeah. Okay. Let's jump over to it, I guess, real quick, and then announce who the winner is, and then yes, we do have an interview here. So the winner of Best Wild YouTube is Raffle. Raffle back with another victory. And also congrats to our runner-up, Get Meowth, and nominees Jordan MG, Mark McZ, Martian Boo, and Slizzle466. So let's listen to the interview with Raffle, and then we'll jump into our comments here.
The category is the best YouTuber, and the winner of this category is Raffle. This one wasn't even close. You captured 40% of the vote. Congratulations. How does it feel to be the winner of the best YouTuber category?
Once again, I'm pretty surprised. Like, that's a wide margin, and not one that I was expecting, considering, again, some of the other great content creators that are putting out pretty great YouTube videos.
It seems to me that there is a tale of two Hearthstone communities, Twitch viewers and YouTube viewers. Most people listening to this conversation likely fall into the Twitch camp. What do you think attracts viewers to YouTube? And how do you tailor and differentiate your content for that platform?
I guess to answer this question, I think of myself as a viewer, because while I do, occasionally hang out in Twitch and watch live content, I don't always have a lot of time to sit through a 4-hour long broadcast. So I think that, what a YouTube audience is looking for is a more curated set of games that are maybe just the highlights, or even just a handful of interesting games, and kind of cutting out the some of the dead air or dead time that is just natural on a stream. So I think that that tends to be what my videos do, is just kind of focus on some of the fun games that I played with often unconventional decks.
Yeah, it oftentimes I will watch your YouTube on occasion. Even though I tend to catch many of your streams, there'll be moments that I miss just because, when you're watching a platform for 5 hours straight, you're not going to have your focus on it that whole time. So definitely it's a good medium of catching those moments. I know that a lot of my friends personally that, play Hearthstone in real life don't watch Twitch at all, and they consume their content exclusively from YouTube for those reasons that you've cited. So definitely a very important platform, and one that you took convincingly. So congrats again. Any shoutouts, acknowledgments that you'd like to make?
Yeah, I guess just all of the viewers that can make it through 30 minutes of my videos. I guess it's like, I don't know, like both on stream and YouTube, it's still kind of surreal to me that people, given the options that they have, like choose, because Hearthstone is a big game, it has a lot of creators, choose my videos or my stream to watch, and so it's like it's pretty astounding to me. I guess another in particular shout out I would like to give is to Jacob and the Good Afternoon crew in my YouTube comments, because they are consistently just the most wholesome interactions that you'll ever find on YouTube, and just constantly as soon as a video drops, they're wishing each other a good morning and or a good afternoon or whatever time of day it is, and I just I love that in the midst of a notoriously, or what can be a notoriously toxic place, there's a little bit of wholesomeness to that. So I really appreciate that.
was gonna say, I think that this marks the first occasion in the history of this planet of the word wholesome and YouTube comment being used in the same sentence. So that's quite the shout out.
Yeah, and just once again to anyone that decided to vote for me as well as watch the video. So thank you, everybody.
I'll take this
for that.
opportunity to lobby for a best of Noggin Fogger compilation at some point.
Oh my God, yeah. I am like I'm constantly putting off because I have a schedule of videos that I'm intending to create. I'm constantly putting off the Noggin Fogger Warrior. I'm just like, okay, well, I've got another idea. Let's bump Noggin Fogger Warrior because I'm dreading playing that deck again. But I did randomly summon a Noggin Fogger just the other day, so that's close enough, right?
I like the Noggin Fogger videos. All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about YouTube, Raffle. Congratulations again on your victory in this category, and look forward to seeing more videos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, congratulations, Raffle. He really does deserve this category win. I mean, a wild streamer who is rocking over 80,000 YouTube subscribers. Like, that is absolutely huge. He puts in
That's
these,
incredible.
right? He puts in these 30-minute videos on a daily basis. If you go over to his YouTube channel, there's one from today, there's one from yesterday, there's one from the day before, and this goes back and back and back. And so that is real dedication to drop these videos every single day. And extra special shout out for taking a different selfie for every thumbnail. Because there's so many videos and he does a different selfie for every single one, and that deserves an award on its own. Best selfie category.
That's great. That's great. And again, talk about prolific YouTube content. I think there's a couple of factors at play here, and I agree with Hydra that the sheer volume of views and subscribers for Wild in particular content creator is astounding, right? Because Wild is not viewed and consumed at the same level that Standard is, and that's just the reality of it. And to watch someone like Raffle come through and just dominate on YouTube is wonderful. The other piece is not just that it's new content every day, but Raffle's also an innovator, and so when you see these decks, the amount of thought and insight that is used to come up with these creations and spend time doing this is great. I'm so happy for him that he is able to do content creation full time. It's a very, very difficult thing to do, and not very many people are able to do it. And again, I've known Raffle for a long time, and great choice here. And again, I've found myself in a number of Raffle's videos. I've yet to be featured winning in one of them, but it do be like that sometimes.
Yeah. What can we really say that we haven't said already about Raffle, right? He's such a legit dude that he fosters a wholesome community even on YouTube. So he's an amazing player, a prolific and engaging entertainer, and big congratulations to Raffle for winning this category. Just incredible. I'm so glad that we have a great representative of the Wild community in Raffle. I mean, even being on the Blizzard launcher, which was the first time a Wild exclusive content creator had done that thing. So congratulations, Raffle.
Yeah.
Well earned.
Yeah. One of the things that I want to go back to is how Raffle talked about how he focused on making himself easily accessible in places like Twitch. And truth is that starts on other platforms like YouTube. And as we see, those efforts bared fruit in this case. And it really shows here how, people have voted and they think he is the best Wild YouTube right now in the last year. So, he really has something going there, and it's something to think about for anyone who wants to really get into content, focus on your YouTube, really put in that production value. It's a lot of work. And as we've seen with the nominees, there's a lot of people going at it. And it's going to take a while to really get your feet, sunk in there. But if you put in the effort like Raffle did, you'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And again, yeah, content creation, it takes a long time. It takes a lot of consistency, and even editing videos, it's so time consuming. And so, easier said than done. But yeah, big congrats to Raffle. Big congrats to our runner-up, Get Me Out, and our nominees, Jordan MG, Mark McZ. God, I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your name. Martian Boo and Sizzle466. Big congrats, y'all. I know the amount of effort that it takes because we do that as well, and it's very difficult and very time consuming. So I very much appreciate the hard work here.
Before we move on to the next category, I just want to take a moment to shout out Jordan MG. Jordan in general helped out get this initiative off the ground with some of the initial graphics and provided input. So really big thanks for that. But more importantly, Jordan has a YouTube channel that you all should absolutely check out. Jordan specializes in content that is not just gameplay, it's original stuff. I don't want to spoil what it is, but it's definitely worth subscribing to. So big shout out. I always find the content to be engaging, entertaining, and memorable. So definitely check that out. So moving on, next category is Best Wild Twitch Chatter. So a little bit about this category. We all like to participate in the streams, and sometimes, for reasons that cannot be explained, we engage in chat. And there's always certain individuals that bring a special something to Twitch chat, and so we wanted to recognize some of our favorite here. Caveat: if we ever do this again, might consider breaking this up by time, just like we did the streamer. There were a couple of misses here as well. We did try to get a good representation. So again, apologies if there were any oversights. So why don't we bring up the graphic and review our winners for Best Wild Twitch Chatter.
All right. And so the award for the Best Wild Twitch Chatter goes to White Delight. White Delight here, 24.7%, over many nominees. And so it's a good representative here. And again, it's, lots of nominees. And I think what is a streamer without their chat? And so, the true fans right here, I love it.
So I was surprised that White Delight won, but I was happy to see it because when I think about late night wild streams, White Delight is always in the chat, just making hilarious comments, adding a lot to the environment and atmosphere. And so, kind of upon reflection, a great win here. And of course, EC the Lion and Ghosty, also extremely known and prolific. But I think all of the nominees as well are incredibly known figures within the community that all warrant a celebration and a shout out. So yeah, congrats, White Delight.
Yeah, and hey, just for the audio streamers, do you mind running down, or the audio listeners, do you mind running down the list of nominees real quick?
Of course. So our runner-ups, our winner, of course, was White Delight. Runner-ups were EC the Lion and Ghosty Doggy, who were statistically tied. And then our nominees, in addition, were Gasu, Mr. 37, Slate, The Final Union, Multicon, and of course, Wandering Boy.
Very good. And again, the nominees are listed in alphabetical order, so that really has nothing to do with the number of votes that they got. They're all super appreciated, and it's always fun, like Blutrane said, to jump on a stream, regardless of what time it is, and recognize familiar faces, as so to speak, and absolute core, highly valued members of the community here.
If you have been in like a Twitch viewer in the wild community, there's no way you have not heard the name White Delight. Like, White Delight comes up in streams constantly. Even if White Delight isn't there, I feel like someone says White Delight's name. So definite congratulations to White Delight. And shout out to the other nominees. Ghosty Doggy I will say every time I enter anyone's stream, I do my little Born to Be Wild wave, and then Ghosty Doggy's like, "Hi Hydra," and it's like the guy has 10 windows open, or like, it's just all of the support from the viewers that go to all of these streams. It's just very much appreciated, and it's cool to have that tight knit community that we're like these nomads within our own zone. Like we move from this stream to that stream to that stream, and we all kind of go as a group. And it's just nice to see one another there all the time. So congrats to the winner, White Delight, and all of the nominees as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to second that. And I think that, of course, big congrats to White Delight, but to the entire category. Like Blutrane was saying earlier, for me in particular, I typically can't watch streams during the day. And so, some of these folks I know better than others. But, like Hydra was saying, I don't think that I've ever jumped into a stream and commented without like Ghosty like waving or something. And it's like, it's just that always present and, always happy to be there. You pop into a stream and it's like,
Boys, look who it is!
ha ha ha. But it's great, and big shout out to everybody. Gasu's a good friend of ours, and the Final Union. Big shout out to Final Union, who I think was probably like, in my mind, like the number one Keith Numbers viewer and the innovator of the renowned Trino Druid. So, Keith's well known for playing viewer decks, and never a dull moment when Final Union is sending off meme decks for Keith to play. And just big shout out to everybody. But White Delight, congrats, dude. Well deserved, and always happy to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been able to frequent Twitch chats with the veracity that I used to. But I look down this list and I recognize every one of these people. It's fantastic. Whether being here tonight, like Ghosty Doggy and the Final Union, or being not just here, but in different Twitch chats or different parts of the conversation. So this whole list is just very incredible, like awesome people, awesome community involvement and community building, that all of these people make the wild community a better place. So thank you to all of you, but especially White Delight. It is, of course, a delight. So
Also a Canadian,
congratulations.
by the way. Canadian.
It tracks. That
A
completely
Canadian, but an Albertan. I guess we'll let it slide.
Hold on. White Delight hails from Edmonton, Alberta, which is
Why we're letting
actually
it slide.
where I am from. By the way,
I let it slide for you too, Hydra.
tracks. Yeah, so congratulations, White Delight.
Well, there's a lot you guys covered, and a few key things that you missed I want to talk about. Notice in White Delight, the White Delight's profile picture, the one that you guys use for the winner, it's not his trademark black cat Mikasa. So I want to shout out his other cat Mikasa real quick for them. And the other thing I want to talk about is not just his interactions in Twitch and online, but the innovations he makes on ladder and in the game itself. Everyone knows what it means when you say the White Delight special. Okay. You always know it's going to be something spicy, something along the lines of double rat Reno shaman. It's almost always a Reno deck, and it's almost always some version of shaman. So take those, add some funny little tech cards or any weird inclusions, and you have a White Delight deck. The coined White Delight special. We all know it, but we're all scared of it, and we all know we can't win with it, but we respect it anyway.
It's great.
So, yeah, shout out for him in doing something that not many other people can do.
Yeah,
All
hats
right.
off to White Delight.
Moving right along to our next category, we have the best wild deck aggregator. just a little bit of a brief description. What I mean by aggregator: people who publish deck lists and distribute them. And let us net deck, be the filthy net deckers that we all are, admittedly or secretly. So let's dive in and see who took the category.
All right. So the winner of the best wild deck aggregator category is Neon31HS from HearthstoneDecks.net. Big congrats, Neon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Neon took it. Our runner-up was Hearthstone Top Decks. Other nominees included Glore Magic and ShareHS.com. So, just talking a little bit about the nominees. Glore Magic is a really interesting deck aggregator in Twitter that you should all follow, that generally focuses on decks from Asia and China.
Mm-hmm.
So really interesting kind of alternate perspective. It's kind of niche, but I do think it warrants a follow and is interesting. ShareHS is a similar site and service, I guess, for lack of a better description, to Neon's that started more recently, that also has very nice infographics and has great content. Hearthstone Top Decks is kind of the OG. Still very, very prolific. They took a sizable chunk of the vote. I think everyone expected Neon to win just because Neon as Twitter and website is ubiquitous. But I think a lot of people still get their content from Top Decks. An interesting kind of parsing is that folks that tend to be engaged with Twitch and Twitter will tend to use Neon as an aggregator. People who tend to interact with YouTube tend to still use Top Decks as their primary. So kind of an interesting split there. But we're fortunate to have so much data at our fingertips with Hearthstone. And Neon's prolific, hard worker, always present online, does a wonderful job, and rightly took the category.
Yeah, I feel that in the last year or maybe year and a half, I have gravitated towards Neon a lot more than I have in the past. I've used all sorts of sites over the course of the years, but going to Hearthstone Decks, Hearthstone-decks.net has been my go-to. I have it bookmarked right on Google Chrome. I can click on it, and that's the first thing I do. And I want to grab, to be honest, I use it for duels decks all the time. Like when I want to see what's the latest duels deck that someone's got a 12-win run with, it's my first click because the decks are here, because Neon grabs all these from Twitter. You mentioned that Neon uses Twitter for a lot of their basically advertising the site, and it works. Like that's where I see it. This is where I go. I want to get my 12. I'm not going to get 12 wins, but I want to see a deck that got 12 wins, and that's where I go. And then the wild decks, they have the latest. This player got legend with this deck. Blutrane, I believe you've even been featured, and it's just the go-to place for me to see, okay, like, what is the latest build of this deck? Because you could be playing a deck that's been good for a long time, but what is it now good, like, in the meta? Because there's different tech cards, there's a different meta going on, and this is where I go constantly. So hats off to Neon for sure.
Yeah, and again, big shout out to all of our nominees here, and I think they sort of do different things. Blutrane had a good point where a lot of the Hearthstone Wild community is very active on Twitter, but there's other avenues for it, right? I mean, there's YouTube, there's Reddit, there's Facebook groups and other stuff, and so these are all great resources. I have some special love for Neon. There's nothing like hitting legend and getting the Neon retweet, right? Like that's the thing. You've made it.
Shot.
Yeah, right. You've made it when you get the Neon retweet, and like, oh my god, boys, my name is on a Neon tweet. I got my deck spotlighted. I mean, I stole the deck from NHL, but like I played it. I'll try to give credit where it's due when I do well with one, but big shout out here, and I've used all of these over the years. Neon and Top Decks, of course. Glore Magic also is a big favorite of mine because The wild meta, I think, it differs between NA and EU for sure. But when we look at the decks from Asia, they're so much different typically than what we're used to seeing. And I just love seeing all of the different things that are posted up. They're super fun, and seeing what's played in different places. We recently, NHL and I were looking at different builds of like wild ping mage, right, or hero power mage, and seeing different builds of it, and like, why did they include this? But like, oh well, they included that. That's interesting, and being able to kind of compare something that I had done a lot of in the past, and it's been a long time, but was to make like infographics comparing different decks, and so looking at the same archetype but comparing different builds of it and seeing what's different and what's not, and but these are all just great resources, and big shout out to all of them, but Neon in particular, congrats on the win, well deserved.
Yeah, congratulations, of course, to all of our nominees. But Neon, there's a reason why Neon took 56.9 nice percent of the vote. I mean, Neon is so accessible, so engaged, so involved. Just having such an intuitive site. Like you said, nothing feels better than hitting legend and then getting that retweet or that feature on the site. Just like that's when you know that, like, hey, I feel really accomplished. Like hitting legend, you feel that way in general, but whenever you get the Neon tweet, I mean that's like the gold plating. That's golding the deck out, right? So being so involved and so accessible, just elevating not just the decks but also the people, and making it less of just a, oh, here's a deck and here's a deck. I mean, yeah, when you go to the site, that's what you're going there for, but the engagement that Neon gives and provides, I think is just so valuable. I mean, to me, and I'm sure to many others. And we are really lucky to have Neon like as a not really standard bearer, but just like aggregator, just a vehicle for the community. So, hats off to Neon.
Right. Well,
Congratulations.
and let me just jump in for 2 seconds. So you brought that up, and the thing of aggregating decks is just to appreciate how much work is involved in doing this. I mean, we did it for, what is it, a week, 2 weeks? Like when Alterac first launched, we collected decks, and the prerequisite was that it had to have new cards in it. And the amount of work that was involved in collecting these and just dumping them in a spreadsheet and nothing else was like, I mean, it's hours and hours of work. And to turn that into an ongoing everyday thing is just a phenomenal amount of effort goes into it, and so we really appreciate that, because I, like everyone else, is a filthy net decker, and where else would we go? Any insight, NHL?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing that was covered was already really said by Blutrane, how, there's this divide where people who are on Twitch more and Twitter will use Neon's site, while people on YouTube or in other places will use HS Top Decks. It's kind of like there's a certain level of engagement as well, right? Where we see when people talk about using like Hearthstone versus something like, there's a Syndicate, I guess. That's the best example I can think of. As a casual, you go to the place that is tried and true, right? Everyone starts with Hearthstone at first, and then they move on when they get better and they want more refined lists and to really step up their game. And it feels a little bit in a similar vein here, where people are looking for things up to date right away, and they'll go to Neon, who scours Twitter and looks through Donkey on Twitch to find decks that people are playing. Meanwhile, HS Top Decks, there's a lot of self-submitted stuff that shows up, and you'll see the big popular streamers coming on, but not a ton of the smaller streamers on there. I know I've been featured significantly less on HS Top Decks than Neon 31, and I think the size of my audience has a lot to do with that.
Well, still lots of other categories, so let's move on. And I agree, NHL. I think that it really does cater to different audiences, and it's interesting to see that split. So next up, we have. I've lost my place here.
Next up, we have the best wild podcast. So,
thank you.
Yeah, near and dear to our hearts, of course.
So the question is, as a nominee, did Born to Be Wild win? Let's find out.
That is a good question. Let us look over here. So the winner of the best wild podcast is The State of Wild. Congratulations. And, big winners over here, and very well deserved, I have to say. But let me pass it over to Hydra before I talk.
Yeah, so congratulations, The State of Wild. You guys have, cemented yourselves as individually, even before being a podcast, as really good, amazing people and wild streamers. Get Meowth, you've been around for a very long time. You have got an awesome audience. You stream High Legend. We've got James Corbett, who's the lovable Australian that we've all got to know and love. I've got to play other games with you, and you're just a really great person and so fun to watch your Hearthstone content. You kick a lot of butt, so you can storm the wild ladder. Sometimes you're playing some Hunter deck. Even before Hunter was good, James Corbett was playing Hunter at High Legend. So, the guy's pretty good at the game. And then we've got Raffle, who's already won 2 of these awards. He's got this other perspective, which I find really neat about the show, is that we have, Get Meowth and James Corbett, who have these opinions based on what is at like the top level, and then we've got Raffle's opinion, because Raffle plays the game a little bit differently, and it's a really cool mesh. These guys have all of their own followings self-earned, and they've combined them into this really cool podcast who are up to date. They're talking about exactly what is going on. They can discuss what is up there at that high level, and they can also talk about, the weird stuff that Wildcard's doing.
I love it. And I think these guys, it's so well deserved, and I think when I think of The State of Wild and I look at the hosts, we've known them personally for a long, long time, and it's like the best of the best, and it's the trifecta, or it's like the powerhouse team. And so, was like, oh my God, Get Meowth and Corb are making a podcast together. This is great. And then they added, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, they added Raffle, and it's just incredible. And I think as a podcast ourselves, I don't look at it as even a competition. It's like the more wild podcasts that we can get, the better. And we do different things, and so it's great. I mean, we listen to their show. We've had them on the show. It's great. And I'm, the more love that we can get for the format, it's fantastic. And then when I see, like Ixar came on their show and did an interview talking about Wild specific, and I just love it. I think it's fantastic, and nothing but love for these guys. Super excited for them, and honestly, I mean, it's just honored to be nominated in the first place. And so, I mean, it's really cool. But yeah, much love to The State of Wild.
Absolutely. So, amazing people, amazing podcast. I feel so just like enamored that we get to even be mentioned in the same breath as them here. So that feels really cool. Like Nate said, we listen to them as well. So it's fantastic. I love being part of the same kind of podcast community as these gents. So I believe we may even have an interview with them as well, so we could hear them speak a bit too.
Yeah, we do. You want to play that now, or you want to play it at the end? We had a couple where we were missing the interviews, and so I forgot. My bad.
Well, maybe you can run it, and then we can get NHL's thoughts. Before you do roll the tape, Nate, I just want to say that even though you guys were the runner-up, you had a strong showing, and I think that you guys also deserve a pat on the back. Uh, you've been running, Nate, in various forms this podcast for years, consistently. It's always been wonderful content, and you and the team here was my gateway into becoming part of the wild community. And I think that for a lot of people, you guys have been kind of the gateway drug in a positive sense. And I think that there is a lot of space in the field for podcasts, and especially, other nominees, the Hearthstoners, she and Daniel are not really doing that anymore this year. This was for last year. They're really missed. They had a unique voice and perspective. Jordan and Vaphead have the People's Champ podcast. Maybe more people will give that a listen to now, but this isn't really a crowded space. And so there's lots of opportunity. And I think you said it best. Everyone has a different value and a different voice to bring. And so congrats on everyone that was nominated.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better. I love it. Well, let me play the interview with Get Me Out real quick, and then we can have NHL weigh in.
The category is Best Wild Podcast, and the winner is The State of Wild. Here with me to celebrate The State of Wild's win is Get Meowth, host and creator of the series. Meowth, congratulations. How are you feeling?
Hey, thanks for having me. Feeling pretty good. Super excited that people enjoy the podcast.
Absolutely. I think that what was made evident to me is the universal appeal of State of the Wild. I think that all different manner of community members enjoy the podcast. People are really competitive, maybe a little bit more casual. There's just so much good content in there that there's something for everyone. As a relative latecomer to community of wild podcasters, why do you think that State of the Wild has resonated to the extent that it has with the community?
Honestly, I really couldn't tell you. I just know that when I originally started this, like as a weekly little 5-minute like web series thing, the whole point of it was just more high level, wild content out there for like the engaged player base was like the whole point of it. And then when we added Corb and then we slowly added Raffle, it allowed me just to have kind of all the perspectives of a wild player. So you have Corb, who's like the hyper engaged, like the best of the best. You have me, who I think would dabble between high level and some off meta jank, and then you have Raffle, who has been endearingly, I think, named like he is the person of the people, right? He plays the decks that the majority of the wild players do, and so I think we just have like all the different perspectives, and mostly we're just like three friends that are just hanging out talking wild with some pretty good perspective, which I think a lot of people just enjoy.
Yeah, definitely your interactions on the show come across as genuine, which I think is really important. And I would also say that I feel as though, you guys keep it pretty real insofar as that, you'll praise where praise is due, but you're also not afraid to have critical feedback, respectfully, of course. I think that's important. I think that really comes across and is what makes the show special. So I think the win is well earned. Congratulations again. Any shout outs you'd like to make?
I mean, I have to shout out my two co-hosts, right? Because this podcast would not be what it was without them. So, I mean, started off, I think like episode 7 or something like that is when Corb joined, and you guys all know Corb. You guys all voted for him throughout this award show. Corb's awesome.
Well, spoilers. I'm kidding.
I know,
I'm
right?
kidding.
But without him, and then later on Raffle, so like these are people that I've been like really close friends with throughout my time in Wild, and so it's awesome that I get to record a podcast with them, hang out with them every week, and record this. And again, shout outs to everybody out there that listens week after week.
Any upcoming events or guests that you want to hint at or leak here in this forum?
I will just say that we have reached out to some pretty awesome people that are both part of the Hearthstone team and maybe not part of the Hearthstone team. But I don't want to spoil anything that's not confirmed, but we've got some pretty exciting episodes coming up, especially new expansion and reversions around the corner as well.
Yeah, that'll be exciting to see. Unnerfs are always a wonderful time, so looking forward to those. Well, thank you for taking the time. Congratulations once again. The show is awesome, and yeah, thanks for taking the time to speak with me.
Thanks, guys.
Bye now.
Well done. I love Get Me Out. He's so great. I think that when way back in the day when Craig of Canada and myself were running Into the Wild, when we the whole goal of the show was, I mean, it was wild community based, but we were also looking to improve. And just big shout out to Get Me Out, who's been a part of this community for ages and ages. But when Craig and I hit Legend for the very first time, it was the episode that we had Get Me Out on. Get Me Out brought this Murloc Paladin deck, and Craig hit Legend, and then the next week I hit Legend, and it's been all downhill from there, right? But got Get Me Out to thank for being just an absolute cornerstone of the wild community. Anyways, yeah, Marty, did you want to or NHL fan rather, would you like to comment on any of this stuff?
Yeah, you can use whichever. I think everyone knows both.
I switched between NHL and Marty B, right?
Yeah, everyone knows that from THL. But yeah, that interview, there's a lot to unpack. One of the big things that I think we have to take away from it is like, what's the point of doing a podcast if you're not having fun with friends doing it, right? The whole point of podcasts is just a bunch of friends hanging out together, and you listen in, and you get to be one of those friends also being a part of the conversation. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we're doing here too. We're talking about all our friends in the community and how great they've been over time, both in content, in their contributions in deck building, in sharing things. It's just a bunch of pats on the backs for all our friends and the community. And it's a big thing from them. And they've really taken that torch and reached out and tried to bring in a lot of people from different areas, as Mal mentioned, some within Blizzard, some not. And it's always interesting to see when they have new guests and the kind of stuff that they're going to discuss, because that they do their research, they back up what they want to talk about, and they really try to cater not just to the hardcore audience, but casuals as well. And I think that's really cool.
100%.
Okay, so moving right along. Our next category is Best Wild Twitter. All right, so I'm going to have to level set on this one a little bit. Of all the categories I put together, this is probably the one that could have went back into the oven to be rebaked a little bit. So let me just talk a little bit about the thought process behind this category. My intent was not to capture people who have a large Twitter following or the best Twitter following. I was looking for people that contribute quality content on Twitter that fosters a good sense of humor and or community. Full disclosure, there were some misses here. So again, to anyone that might have been missed in this category, if we do this again next time, we'll have a more stringent nomination process. That being said, I do believe that the nominees, runner-ups, and winners were all well deserved here. So why don't I take you through it?
Absolutely. All right, let's switch over here to announce the winner of the best Wild Hearthstone Twitter is Romanu Joke. All right.
So Romanu Joke has strong Twitter game, lots of quality, funny tweets. If there is one critique that I must make, likes Crab Rider a little too much. A little bit. And if Crab Rider gets unnerfed at rotation or doesn't get unnerfed at rotation, I have no doubt that we'll hear no end to it. So looking forward to that. Runner-up is our very own NHL NJ Fan 1, who's been known to tweet out a spicy meme and has helped me propagate the make life tap cost 3 movement, among others. So congrats on being runner-up there, NHL. And our other nominees was Darkseeker, Mentalistic, 6J, and Yada. So lots of good Twitters that are fun to follow. Yeah, Nate, any thoughts on our winners, runners up, nominees?
Yeah, these are great, and I big shout out to Romano Joke. Always great for some hot takes and very enjoyable content. And for the other ones as well. I always love for NHL the memes that you cook up. I think you are the meme lord, and I've been pleasure to be a part of the the planning committee for a couple of them. Sitting here looking at different pictures and cards and stuff, and it's just hilarious watching you cook up these hot takes. And big shout out to Mentalistic, of course, who is a longtime friend of ours, and it's actually done some like Hearthstone coaching with me a long time ago. 6J, one of my favorite people, and has some of the greatest jokes on the internet. And of course Yada, how could I forget Yada?
If Mentalistic ever has like a really good link for you to go to, I just do it. Go, he has the best links. I'm just saying.
That's great. Well, and a little known thing, when we had Mentalistic on the show, we used to do a lot more parody songs than we do now. And Mentalistic reached out to me and was like, so I have an idea for a parody song, and do you want to do this? And I was like, only if you sing it. And so he did, and it's like, oh my God, I love it, but it's like the cringiest thing. But I love it because it's so cringe. Like, and he's like, well, you have to do it with me. And so it's collectively like, super cringe anyway. So much love to all these folks. And I did not leave out Darkseeker on purpose. I skipped over Darkseeker because I have to give a special shout out, I think, to Darkseeker, who is one of the most positive accounts that I've seen on Twitter, where I remember, numerous times this happened to me that I'll wake up and I'm sitting here, my phone has got like, you've got 50 notifications on Twitter. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And it's that Darkseeker has tagged me in a post that says, happy Saturday, go get some cake and donuts. I hope you have a wonderful day. And like, it's just the people that be nice. Oh, happy Saturday. Oh, go get a donut. Oh, get a cake, and it's like, what is going on? And it's just so wholesome. And it's quite wonderful. And so big shout out also to Darkseeker, who, by the way, also has a great YouTube. But to all of our folks here, I love this category, and this is where I think I do most of my interaction. And so snubbed a little bit here, but I'm just joking. I'm joking. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, it was today years old when I realized that I was not following Romanu Joke, and that was because they and I have like interacted on Twitter so many times, and I've liked their things whenever they come across my timeline, and I thought I was already following them until today when I'm like, wait a minute. So that prolific tweeting and engagement and keeping everything there, being present, actually made it to where I didn't realize that I was not following them. So shout outs, of course, to Romanu Joke. Congratulations. Well deserved. So much so that, gosh, I really did. You fooled me. I thought I was following you already. Great Twitter follow, as well as, of course, all the other folks here, especially NHL fan, of course. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. I don't think I deserve all the credit though, because there's a lot of other people that help out with me. Notably 6J and Blutrane done a lot with helping me with those memes, and the rest of you in that little server that we all know. There's a big group of us that all hang out. We're all good friends in there, and it's a good time. And they really help make that stuff happen. Focusing on Romanu though, I know we're talking about him making memes on Twitter and stuff, and he's super prolific with it, as we all know and already mentioned with Crab Rider and such. But he also streams, and he's one of the few EU players that we're recognizing tonight here as a winner. And I really want to shout out his stream. The guy's super wholesome, very kind. He memes a bit. He tries to stay in a competitive range while doing it. So, mid hundreds legend, nothing too bad. On the EU server, it's more impressive because it's usually 11x range that he's playing in. So definitely shout out to him for keeping his MMR high enough to get 11x, even while he's playing absolute garbage. No offense. It's really impressive. Really speaks to his level of play. And if you ever stop by his stream, you're going to have a good time because he's super wholesome. Great guy from France.
Yeah. Hey, for those of you listening to the audio version of this podcast later, we'll have links to everybody's various socials in the show notes, so check those out. But it's Ramanu Joke on Twitter and on Twitch, so it's RAMANUJOKE if you want to follow Ramanu Joke on Twitch.
Okay, so next category is Best Wild Class Discord. So just to clarify, this is Best Wild Class Discord, not Best Discord. I found it interesting that in Wild, we seem to have these Discords that focus on a particular class. It's not something that one really sees elsewhere. It's kind of an interesting phenomenon. So let's bring in the results and see who took this one home.
All right. Okay, so the winner of the Best Wild Class Discord is, drumroll, the Dead Man's Cult, which is the Warrior class Discord, and this by a long shot. I was not even close, and it was quite hilarious as well. The Dead Man's Hand Cult is well known in the community, I think.
Yeah, to me, when I saw this category, it was almost like a no-brainer. It's this notorious Discord of people playing the warrior class with Dead Man's Hand, and it comes up in passing when we're doing the show and whatnot. And hands down for me, this is definitely the winner. So congratulations to the Dead Man's Cult Discord.
Right? Oh my God! I'll admit I voted for them as well, and I will never forget when I first found out about it. I mean, ages ago, but I remember joining that Discord and was just flabbergasted at the number of members. Well, for this like obscure deck that is, well, it is what it is. It's a cult, right? And I jumped in, and God, at the time, and this is years ago, but there was like, I don't know, like 1,000 members or whatever it was, and I was like, oh my, or maybe more than that. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And what is the running joke, right? Dead Man's Hand has a 100% win rate if you play it correctly, and so big shout out to these folks here with the Dead Man's Cult Discord. Runner up was the Shaman Discord. The nominees being the Druid, Hunter, and Rogue Discords. I don't know what the names of them are. I don't know if you do Blutrane offhand, but they're always so creative as well. So I love highlighting that.
I want to just shout out the Shaman Discord as well. They have a pretty big following as well. The Dead Man's Hand Cult Discord, if I'm not mistaken, is not only the biggest Wild Discord, it might even be one of the biggest Discords in Hearthstone, period. So yeah, it's a big shout out there.
Yeah, they definitely earned the moniker of cultist by being very involved, by being very engaged, and by being very true to their class and very true to their archetype of Dead Man's Hand. So huge shout outs to the cultists. Absolutely. Congratulations on winning this category.
Yeah. There's so much to be said here. I mean, the Dead Man's Cult Discord has become a bit of a meme. It started as a meme at first, I think. The creator was very serious, and everyone who joined kind of turned it into a joke. But it became self-aware very quickly, and pretty sure they would all say that they're very coped up in there. the whole dead man's hand warrior would be 70% win rate if played perfectly. It has a very high skill cap. So
I hear that. I hear that's true.
yeah, we all know. So it's insane. Co-parter. We all love you guys over there. The Shaman Discord is probably in shambles as we speak, despite Boltzmann owning both servers and moderating both. Great guy. The Druid Discord server is kind of there.
Legendary.
Yes, legendary. Well, that's a good one. But not as legendary as the Rogue Discord server, which I believe had more people asking for a link to it than people voting for it, which I thought was pretty interesting. But really, back to the DMH Discord server. They're all great people. Despite the moniker, it's not really all about DMH in there. There's just a lot of cool people, chilling, all with the one thing in common that they hate themselves because they play DMH. And,
Wow.
their Discord slogan: "How long can this go on?"
And just a shout out, I believe Labore started the
Rogue One.
Rogue One,
Yeah.
a notable miss in the late night category for streamers. So the Rogue Discord is actually a pretty nice place because he curates that pretty well. So just a little shout out to Labore there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great person.
All right. Moving on to the next category. Best Wild Deck Innovator, another category that I'm going to have a little mea culpa with. It's probably one that could have spent a little bit more time being fleshed out, although I do think that we have some good nominees, although I'm certain that folks with keen eyes will find some notable misses. Just a little bit of an asterisk that Deck Innovator, Deck Popularizer, Deck Refiner, all of these things were considered when selecting our winner here and nominees. And our winner for this category was kind enough to grace us with an interview. So after Nate, you announced the winner, let's roll the tape.
Yeah, very excited. This is a great category. I like it a lot. And so the winner here of the best wild deck innovator is none other than Martian Boo. Martian Boo.
Yeah.
Primarily with Cthulhu Druid, by the way, was the deck, and I didn't have a place to include that in the graphic here, but with almost 35%. And so let me play the interview here, and then we can chat about it.
The category is Best Wild Deck Innovator, and the winner, once again, is Martian Boo. Congrats on another victory, another decisive victory. How are you feeling about this one?
I'm pretty proud of that one, actually. This is a pretty stacked field. I've seen from the submissions. It's good to win this one for sure.
Well, I think it's well earned. Your Cthulhu Druid, while this is not the only deck you've innovated, obviously, it's probably the one in most recent memory that's become quite meta and prolific on ladder, and also scratched an itch. I think a lot of people were not a lot of control decks were really viable before this one, so I think it had a lot of broad appeal for that reason. Deck building generally, though, is a very important part of card games, but due to deck limitation size in Hearthstone and the plethora of data and resources available online, it can be really hard to innovate and be creative. What advice would you offer to those that are trying to innovate, the next meta breaker, or just build a solid original deck with some hopes of it being, successful on their own terms?
I think that, access to cards is a factor for sure. Having a complete collection definitely helps. I would say understanding what works and not limiting yourself to that is innovation. I guess how you do good original deck building, I guess. So with Cthulhu Druid as an example, the core of the deck is still Oaken Summons, Vargoth, Injured Marauder, Ferocious Howl, Branching Paths, and then stuff that synergizes with that. So from that perspective, how different is it from Malagos Druid? A little different, but the core of the deck is pretty similar. But being able to branch out and think about an unratable win con and what type of stuff you're trying to beat. You look at Warrior also has pretty strong core in like Risky Skipper and Ankar and stuff like that. Once you add that Risky Skipper Battle Rage draw engine, you have a lot of freedom to build something with whatever you want to do with it. I do see like a lot of people are afraid to cut things that are pretty established. Like I recently cut Psychic Scream from Raza Priest, and chat can't wrap their minds around it. The like Psychic Scream is so slow, and it has so few decks that even have a board to be removed that you're just never it's just gonna be rotting in your hand against most of your opponents. So just understanding like what is good and not limiting yourself to what's established. I think with a decent enough collection, you can come up with some cool stuff.
Definitely your comment about cutting cards is one that resonates with me. I tend to be one that is really attached to certain things, and I find that when a deck kind of becomes a de facto choice, it's usually the omissions that I find very compelling. Like, wow, it took a lot of courage to make that cut, and then you take it for granted that it makes a lot of sense once it's established, but kind of making that leap, I think, is a big one. So that's really interesting feedback. So thank you for sharing. Any shoutouts or acknowledgments you'd like to make on this category?
Yeah, I guess to chat again. It really helps like to have everyone supporting me so that I can practice. I feel like I'm getting better at tweaking with decks a bit. I look back at myself when I first started streaming, and I was a lot more restrained by like established things and afraid to keep my same, to alter the 30, like the established 30 whatsoever. And now I almost never do. I almost at least have like a card or two different than what most other people are running. So it helps to have practice, chat suggesting decks, and just enabling me to play a lot really helps.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations once again on taking this category. Well earned. And
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to speak with me today.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for hosting.
Wow. Well, congratulations, Martian. Definitely very much well earned. This Cthulhu Druid that Martian made and streamed and innovated really did take the Wild Ladder by storm. When I first saw this deck, specifically for myself, I kind of get myself in a bit of a niche. These are the decks I like to play. I like to play more aggressive things. Games are faster, right? And I don't always go outside, my comfort zone. And when I saw this deck, I thought, hey, that's really cool, right? And I decided, hey, well, we all know I need Druid wins, so let's play some Druid, right? And I really loved it. I didn't do the best with it at the beginning, but you get better. And it was just something for me in this past year that got me outside kind of my comfort zone. And I was playing Druid. I don't play a lot of Druid, and I thought it was really neat. And then we just saw, like I said, it took the ladder by storm. It was everywhere. People flocked to this deck. They really, really did. And so I think this is very, very well earned, Martian.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Martian is not the hero we deserve, but Martian is the hero that we need. And I think when, things were starting to feel stale, it's like, oh, hey, we want to play a deck with new cards in it. Wait a minute, this is actually good. So I took this deck to Legend in January, and it was really fun. And again, it's like learning something new out of my comfort zone, but something new in general. We talk about this every time we do set reviews, is that Wild is, it really takes a lot to get a new card either into an existing deck. A card has to be good enough to replace something else in an existing deck, or even more rare of a situation is to create a brand new archetype. And that's what Martian has done with this. And I think a lot of people, myself included, thought that when the new Cthulhu came out, that it was more of a meme than anything. It was like, well, this is fun, but it's really slow. And it's, it's neat, but like, not only do you have to assemble it all, but then you got to draw it. And like, Martian has found a way to do this and be wildly successful. much to my chagrin because I hate playing against it. But again, I took it to Legend, so I can't complain too much. But congrats, Martian, and maybe briefly later, Blutrane or someone can talk about the other nominees, because we got some incredible players here with some incredible decks that deserve spotlight as well.
Yeah, we definitely do. So, Martian, cannot speak highly enough about you. You're innovating. Hearing you and you, Blutrane, speak about what cutting a card does to refining an archetype was really illuminating as well. So thank you for having that conversation that we got to benefit from. Some of the other deck innovators here, of course, our runner-up Corb. Everyone knows Corb, but of course, huge shout out and recognition to Maxibon with Pillager Rogue there. I think in Maxibon's hands, in particular, Pillager Rogue is a tier 1 deck. In many other people's hands, it is very much not. So a huge shout out to Maxi in particular for not just piloting the deck with such expertise, but also being able to communicate the different lines that Pillager Rogue, can actually get there, and the different strategies and tactics to have success with Pillager Rogue, and that same teaching and that same just guidance is, I think, what gave Martian Boo the win here as well. So congratulations, Martian, and of course, special shout outs to our friends as well.
The one thing I do want to mention with Martian before covering the other nominees here, what's so impressive about what Martian did is he basically took a card that was otherwise considered a meme and made it viable. Cthulhu never had a good deck, really, even in standard too. Like there's one deck where it was okay, and that was Highlander Mage, and even there, it was very iffy. But the card just works in the deck, and it's a powerful finisher by itself, and that deserves to be shouted out. Taking a meme card and actually making it viable. As for the others, though, going through, Igor deserves a huge shout out because he got famous on Twitter
Right?
and
Yeah.
community just by playing his own deck, right, with Flow Quest Mage for Exodia, which is really cool. Hopper, I know you mentioned he found Cute Lock somewhere, but he's the one that really popularized it out west on most servers, and it got him rank 1 on 2 of the 3 servers that he hit rank 1 on. Just super impressive. Ramon Joke, we've already talked so much about his love for Crab Rider, and Buff Warrior is really his bread and butter with that. 6J with Mozaki Mage. If you were playing on the NA server during Barons and you queued into 6J, you always knew what he was playing and you knew what to expect, and he would still win. Deck was insane in his hands, and he taught quite a few players how to also make it insane. We've all seen Corb's APM play. I always get stressed because he's one of those players that waits until the rope to start making decisions. And it's ironic because, as the name suggests, you got to go fast with the deck. So, really funny to see there. Inman, always mysterious, always interesting. Happy to see him. I've heard good things, and I heard he's also really funny.
Mhm.
And I hope Handbuff comes back in some form with his innovations. He's still high legend. He's had some other innovations as well. He did a cool solitaire Kingsbane rogue by himself, where it was very similar to standard Poison Rogue, but with Kingsbane and with a Garrote finisher. So he's innovated as well. And of course, Maxi, as we discussed, Pillager Rogue. That's his bread and butter.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
shout out to everyone.
And also, I remember we talking about it a while back, but 6J had written a guide for Mozaki Mage that was phenomenal. So, it's not just, creating the deck and popularizing it, but it's also just the,
Evangelizing.
Hey, there's the word.
They helped him with that. So
it was a good guide. I took that deck to Legend on EU on the back of that guide because it's not a deck that I generally have the gray matter to pilot. So kind of just goes to show what can happen when you, take the time to popularize, evangelize, refine, innovate. So I think everyone on here earns a spot, even if there were some misses. I think that for the next category, same kind of mea culpa. There are some notable misses here. I'll list some of them off and apologize. But the category is most recognizable high legend ladder grinder. So let me just talk a little bit about what this means. Because when we talk about the misses, a lot of folks I get saying, like, well, I had a good finish. Well, sure. But like I'm thinking about the people that you constantly queue into, when you watch Corb streaming and he queues into the same person 5, 6, 7 times, they're always playing a high ladder. They're always kind of just grinding it out. They're probably playing more Hearthstone than they probably should. Those are the folks that I wanted to capture with this category. So, Nate, why don't you show us the nominees and winner?
All right, this is a fun one as well. All right, so the winner here for the most recognizable wild high legend ladder grinder is none other than Reaver Ryan. This is great, and there's a story here. There's a whole story here. But big shout outs to our runner up Lasagna and nominees EPT Hopper, Inman, 6J, Maxibon, OT Xiaxia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Tiger Eye.
Yeah, so Reaver Ryan, congratulations. This odd paladin, for me specifically, it took the ladder by storm. Reaver Ryan is up there on the high legend leaderboard list, and then suddenly there's 17 other versions of Reaver Ryan on the high legend ladder, all different variations of the name. You're running into just, different spellings, different plays on the name. Reaver Ryan was everywhere, and it was just this really cool moment in time where Reaver Ryan just had this movement, really. And so for me, it's the most recognizable high legend ladder grinder because Reaver Ryan had many faces for a while. There was many Reaver Ryans out there, and I thought it was a really cool moment in time that we had in the high legend wild ladder.
God, it was hilarious, and this is before all the nerfs as well to Odd Paladin, but like Hydra was saying, Reaver Ryan caused a whole movement. It was just hilarious, and it was like, oh wow, this guy's truly prolific. And then I started going through my HS replay, and I was like, oh, I faced him like 5 times on my legend climb, and super recognizable, to the point of a handful of friends and top tier ladder players, all created Smurf accounts that were some amalgamation of the name Reaver Ryan and climbed to legend with versions of that Odd Paladin deck. So very funny and entertaining. The winner, as clearly most recognizable is well deserved there. Big shout out to our to our other nominees though, who are truly the ones that we see, we know, grinding ladder constantly, and so absolutely EPT Opera, Inman, 6J, Maxibon. I wanted to give a special shout out to Maxibon. Not only is he a friend of our show, a competitor in our listener series, and hang out with him in Discord all the time, but there was a point where, not too long ago, maybe it was December, where Maxibon maintained rank 1 legend every day of the month for an entire month. And, whenever Maxi would lose it, would just grind back until he got it. And, there was an entire month there where Maxi maintained rank 1 legend the entire month. And that was like, oh my God, levels of commitment. So, big shout out to all of our competitors here, though.
Yeah, definitely. Each and every one of these high legend ladder grinders are prolific, and gosh, like you said, special shout out to of course Maxi, but also every one of these people play more Hearthstone than, I mean, gosh, probably most of us on the show combined, which is saying a lot. So congratulations, of course, to Reva Ryan. Not only did the meme and the event of Reva Ryan Paladin kind of cause that movement, but also it was such a unique take on the archetype that it was just really outstanding. Like, it stood out. So playing Odd Paladin then, and probably playing a Pirate Warrior, you're now. Congratulations and well-earned victory, Reva Ryan.
I feel like he's not even going to see this.
Probably not.
So, like, are we really rewarding this to anyone? That's the question.
We truly had a Spartacus moment with the Reva Ryan movement.
Like, it's so strange. This guy's super mysterious. Nobody knows him. There's theories. Some of us think he's really old. Some of us think he's really young. We don't know if his friends list is full, if he's locked out, if he just doesn't like people, or if he just, or she doesn't receive the friend request at all. None of us know. And it's going to forever be a mystery.
Well, can we have Otters accept the award on behalf of Reva Ryan?
So I'd like to address a comment made in chat that it's Otter's reward because he made the movement, but I think that it warrants call out that why did Otters kind of make the movement, because he kept queuing into this person over and over again that was running a suboptimal Odd Paladin list that didn't make much sense, but still somehow managed to consistently be queuing games at high ladders. So I think that it still is applicable.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to say, though, that the meme probably put him over the top, or her, or them. But I do want to make a special mention to our runner-up, Lasagna, who to me embodies what it means to be a high legend ladder grinder. The man has occupied triple rank 1 on more than one occasion, played tons of games to make it happen. And I suspect that, if the meme didn't kind of propel Reva Ryan to stardom, I'm pretty sure Lasagna would have taken it. And I mean, the numbers are the numbers. I can't put my thumb on the scale, but if I could, I would definitely give it to Lasagna. I also want to shout out Memnarch, whom I inexplicably left off this list. Memnarch, if you're still here, or you're listening to the recording, my apologies. I'll find some way to make it up to you. And again, I think that it warrants call out that a lot of this was not especially well thought out on my part. Again, I didn't expect this to kind of blow up the way it did. Certainly, some of these categories were better than others. And if I or someone else ever does this again, we'll take those lessons learned and hopefully tighten up the nominations, etc. So, anyways, just some thoughts there on Reva Ryan, Lasagna, etc.
Very good. Very good.
All right. Next category, a fun one, is TECHW in Chief. TECHW in Chief is the person who is the most prolific tech card includer on ladder. And Nate, I don't think the winner will surprise most folks, but let's go through it all the same.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, so the winner of our TECHW in Chief here is none other than the man, the myth, the legend, White Delight, with 55.5% of the votes, by the way. So White Delight, especially known for the various shaman builds.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who, loves to play Reno decks, but is okay with compromising the Reno effects by doubling up on disruption cards deserves the win, right? Like, if you're throwing in your double dirty rats that turns off your Reno effects, that's pretty legit, right? Like, you are you're pretty dedicated to the tech and the disruption. So I really think that White Delight totally deserves this. It's not much of a surprise, but a complete congratulations to White Delight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree here. It's always fun to follow White Delight on Twitter and constantly copying deck codes and stuff. And I remember particularly just recently when Alterac came out and we were aggregating decks, wild decks for the first couple weeks, and it was nothing but Freeze Shaman and Freeze Shutterwalk Shaman and Freeze Galakron Shaman and the various builds. And every time I'd see another White Delight special, it's like, why is this in there? But like White Delight is such a good player, is such a so talented, and how the numbers don't lie. And so like you were mentioning before in the show, the White Delight special, and well deserved. I do want to give a big shout out to our other competitors as well to kind of post them up here. So Tiger Eye is as our runner up, and then nominees Ben from Work, Dr. Evil, Jack, and Memnarch. And big shout out to Dr. Evil, who I'll never forget. As big, we've had her on the show before, and she's a longtime friend of our show, but wanted so badly to hit legend with like homebrew Reno Shutterwalk Shaman, and has done it multiple times with like the janky custom
Sticky Fingers and Eater of Secrets.
Yes, and so in my mind, it's like, my goodness, you talk about tech cards, and But to be able to hit legend with like Reno, I'm sorry, it wasn't Reno Shutterwalk Shaman. It's like Reno Shutterwalk N'Zoth Shaman, and
yeah, we're talking in a meta where people weren't playing Shutterwalk, right? Like you were not expecting this at all.
So, but to all of our players here, and yeah, how can you lose if you tech for everything? And that's it's kind of funny because that's we were commenting on this the other day. I've been playing a lot of the Freeze Shaman lately, and the deck is like turned into primarily tech cards. It is just what combination of tech cards do I want to put in this deck aside from my frost cards? So, but anyways, this is such a fun category. I like it.
Yeah, it really, really is such a fun category. And as soon as I saw TECHW in Chief as the title for most prolific tech card includer, I mean, you knew that White Delight was going to take this one. TECHW Shaman, White Delight special, they're synonyms, right? they're definitely analogous with one another. So I think just that association, if nothing else, gosh, cannot think of a more deserving winner for this category. And that's saying a lot because we've got, like Nate said, Tiger Eye, Ben, Taylor, Jack, Memnarch. Like these are all definitely worthy winners if White Delight wasn't there, being, gosh, themselves a synonym for tech cards. So well deserved nominees all around, and well deserved, and congratulations on your win, White Delight, as well.
Yeah. What else is there to be said, really? We already talked about the White Delight special, and there's a reason for it, because he goes beyond the whole teching and does some super unorthodox things with his builds, like double rat and arena deck, and it's funny because when you talk to him and he walks you through it, it actually sounds logical by the end of it. It's so weird because before that, you're like, what the heck is he doing with this? This is so bad. Why would I ever play this? It looks like some like gold 10 garbage. And then he walks through what every single card does and why he has it in there. And you realize, wow, this guy knows what he's doing, thinks like no one else, and this is why no one will win with his decks. It's crazy. But he wins with it. So
Yep.
hats off to him.
Very good.
And I have to say, for many months, the Defile and Dark Glare Warlock was pretty prolific. Where like I'd always like hear people playing Hearthstone, and like I wouldn't know who was playing, and they'd be like, oh, they don't run Dark Lair, they don't run Defile and Dark Lair, right? And then someone chime in, no, this is Tiger Eye. You have to play around it. You have to play around it. You know, and that twinge of panic is probably what earned Tiger Eye our runner up. So it's a pretty good one too. It might not be as prolific as White Delight, but there were a lot of those oh no Tiger Eye runs Defile moments. So yeah, that was a good one. All right. So finally, our final category. And thank you everyone for bearing with us. There was a lot of content to cover, but it's been a lot of fun. This one is the best wild community figure. This is the award of awards. Nate, why don't you take us through it?
Yeah, this is a great one here, and the penultimate award. I agree. It's not White Delight. Sorry, this is the old screen. This is TECHW. All right, so the winner for the best wild community figure goes to, drum roll please.
You do not have a drum roll on the soundboard.
I know, Corbett Games. Corbett Games.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Corb. This is this is the big one. This is the the embodiment, I think, of the wild community, and well deserved win to Corb, who coincidentally I think won she is coveted sexiest man of wild award.
He was actually the runner-up.
Oh, who won? So, concerned mom, probably.
Probably. Hair Club.
Oh boy.
Yeah, no, congratulations for sure. Do we want to play our clip that we have?
Oh yes,
our speech.
My bad. I got excited here. Yes, let me play the interview here. Here we go.
The category is Best Wild Community Figure, and the winner is Corbett. Corb, this was the big one. The award of awards. You've taken it home. How are you feeling?
I am very surprised, but very, very grateful. I think this whole award show in general has been a really cool idea of yours, Blutrane, and it's been a great celebration of, the whole community, and something that I was really happy to see you put together. And yeah, this award, I mean, it's great, right? It's really, really cool to be recognized like that. Very surprising. I wouldn't have expected to win this one at all. And so, it's kind of just really nice to be shown kind of so much love from the wild community, which I really, really do appreciate.
Well, I believe it was well deserved, and thank you for your comments. You regularly innovate decks. You're hanging out constantly at the top of the leaderboard. You have a wonderful stream. When you started streaming, and really when you started creating content, did you think things would come this far? What were your original expectations when you decided to go live for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, everyone comes with different expectations of streaming, right? Based on, whether they're already established or known in the community. I felt like if I went live, there was a good chance I'd pull in, maybe 10 viewers, which I was very excited about because I'd been, in the competitive Hearthstone community for a while. But I didn't think it would probably blow up to this much. I didn't think I'll necessarily be streaming Wild and become this entrenched in the Wild community and keep playing this format and have that be my main go-to. So I don't know. Like I still remember how crazy it was when I first started streaming and like I got my first big raid from Slissa. And she raided me with a few hundred viewers at the time, and how absolutely crazy and my heart was going nuts at the time, and it was very nerve-wracking. And to think that kind of that kind of viewership and that kind of community involvement has become the normal, the day-to-day. It's kind of surreal a little bit. It's very, very cool, and it's very thankful that I started doing this a few years ago. And I think streaming overall has just been incredibly positive for me. Just my life in general. So I really, really love that I started doing this, and it kind of went beyond my expectations.
That's wonderful, and you certainly pay it forward, especially every time you raid me or another small streamer. So that's wonderful that you're able to do that. More broadly, though, what in your view makes for a good steward of the community now that you've been recognized as the face of Wild Hearthstone?
What makes a good steward of the community? I mean, I'm not sure. I guess overall, just being, being positive about the game or being even keeled is probably a good thing. Being reasonable, sort of having reasonable expectations, but also being willing to, dive into all the discussions that people want to hear about. People want honesty and they want to hear how Wild can be better, and at the same time, what makes Wild great. So I don't know. I think just being consistent in terms of content, and all that kind of thing helps a ton. I do a lot of different stuff when it comes to the VS report and the streaming, and then the podcast with, the Get Me Out and Ruffle. So big shouts to those guys. But I just think giving people, different voices and different things to consume, and get involved in with the Wild community is overall just the biggest thing that you can do.
I would just add to that I think another big important item is being authentic, and I think that's a characterization that you embody, and a big plus there. Um, Speaking of being authentic, you can't rightly abandon Wild for Standard anymore. Now that you've been named the most recognizable Wild community figurehead, so I have to ask, what are your plans for the future with respect to formats?
I mean, I've been locked down, right? Like, I am absolutely tied down ball and shade at this stage. I did get very frustrated, I will say, with some of the stuff going on in Wild with the Ignite cheating and things like that in December. But with kind of a lot of that out of the way, I've been really loving Wild over the past month, and it kind of does seem like that was maybe just a small blip, a small bump where I was kind of looking at Standard, but overall, every time I try and play more Standard, I do end up coming back to playing Wild. And it's not necessarily because the format is the best, it's because genuinely and sincerely, I have a lot of ties to this community, and I have a lot of friends in this community, and I probably wouldn't be playing Wild if it was just a matter of, which format. But, I love a lot of the people that I get to interact with, and I have a great time doing it, and it's what just keeps bringing me back. And so I don't think I can leave Blutrane. I think with this nomination, I am officially locked in, forever a Wild player.
All right, you've it's on the record now, and I do agree in all seriousness that it is the people that keeps me around, and I would also like to acknowledge that the meta game. I am the biggest meta whiner there is, but I think we have the best meta right now, maybe since Ashes, which is saying a lot. It's been a pretty rough year. So enjoy it while we can. We're gonna have our ups and downs, and hopefully as time goes on, we'll have more ups. Finally, any acknowledgements, shout-outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, I mean, again, just reiterating the shout-outs to everyone that voted. I again wasn't expecting to have won this category, so very pleasant surprise. So thank you. Yeah, thank you to everyone that ultimately keeps Wild going, that tunes into all the Wild streamers. Wild as a whole has, changed a lot in terms of the streamers and viewership and people participating in the format, and I think it's really, really been cool over the past few years. In particular, big shout outs to Get Me Out and Ruffle as other people who were nominated in this category, but really help make Wild more fun for me by getting me to do the podcast as well. So I love doing that show with those guys. And yeah, shout out to everyone that helps out on my, Twitch stream, all the mods and regular viewers and all those kind of people. So thank you guys.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations so much again for winning the category of Best Wild Community Figure. Again, couldn't think of a better person to take it home. So congrats once more, and we'll catch you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Great interview, and congratulations, James Corbett, for winning the category for Best Wild Community Figure. I completely agree with this. We have like, this category is stacked, by the way. We even have our own Nate Wolf.
Hey.
But Corbett, he has such a positive, wholesome stream. I really appreciate Blutrane, you mentioning his how authentic he really is. Like, what you see on Corbett's stream is really him. It's what you get. Like, you can watch him where he's got 400 people watching him stream and he's talking, and then you can play a game with him separately, like I'll be on Discord and I'll play a game with the guy. He's the same person, right? Like he is just extremely genuine. And I think that his genuine attitude and positivity has really led him to achieve, this goal that he's gotten, this best wild community figure. So completely hats off to James Corbett. You've done an excellent job in this community, and you're somebody that people can look up to. They can learn from you, and they can, just emulate kind of like the positivity that you put into the community. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Corb seems like such a great choice to me. We've known Corb for a long time, interact with Corb, and I agree. For somebody as well known in the community, not only is Corb a deck innovator, like Corb's got it all, right? He's a deck innovator. He's a high level legend, ladder grinder, great streamer, great podcast. He's genuinely like nice person. We've had him on our show before. He's participated and in fact won our listener series in the past. And it's just plus he's got that wonderful Australian accent. But I love Corb. I think that Corb is the right person, for this award. And so, very happy that he won. I loved hearing the interview, and even you hear him talking about it, like he's so genuine and he's so humble. And, that's what this community needs. I think the wild community is very passionate, and oftentimes, passion leads to, to hot takes and to drama. And Corb has always stayed, above the fray. And, I like that. And I don't know. I really can't say enough good things about Corb. Very well deserved. So, yeah. Well played there, Corb.
Yeah, definitely. Well played, well earned. And I mean, the people have spoken. Corbett Games is definitely the figurehead for Wild, at the very least for 2021. We can continue that, right? He's definitely the community member that we need and that we appreciate and that we love seeing here. So congratulations to Corb. His authenticity, his humbleness. I mean, there's a reason why the people voted Corb as the best wild community figure. So congratulations to James Corbett. Well earned. And I'll turn it over to you, Marty.
Yeah. So, there's one big thing to take away from here, and that's the percentage. 23.8%. It's not to take a knock on Corb at all. With him winning, it just really tells you how close this vote was. It was very split among everyone. Okay, so there's a lot of debate on who should be representing the community. Corb won, just slightly ahead of the rest. Really, all of the others are just as good at representing the community according to the votes, and I think that says a lot about the members that we have listed here. All great people, all individuals and content creators that you should follow and get to know, and they're really what makes the community great. So shout out to all of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, maybe Blutrane, you can go over for the folks who are listening to the audio version of this podcast. Maybe you can run down the list real quick, and we can we'll make sure that we include this stuff in the show notes later.
Of course. So the winner, obviously, Corbett Games. Runners up was Dane and Raffle, who were statistically tied. And then the nominees in this category, in alphabetical order, were Get Me Out, Keith Numbers, Martian Boo, Nate Wolf, and Otters_TV.
Very good. I'm honored to be nominated, by the way. I was not expecting that at all. I've been around for a long, long time, but that was a surprise to me, and
I voted for you, Nate.
Aw. I appreciate that. Wild is the community. Wild community is that's why I'm here. That's why I've lasted this long, I will say. And you know, the game is the game. You know, the game is fun and it ebbs and flows, but the community is why we do this, or at least why I do it. So, you know, love it. This is great, and this is just a great batch of people here. And you know, Blutrane, I want to say a big thank you, heartfelt thank you for putting together this awards ceremony in the first place. It was, you know, it's great. I think one of like the tenets of our show here is to spotlight members of the wild community, and that is exactly what you've done here in so many different ways. And you know, can't thank you enough for all the hard work putting this together, and to the community in general for voting. Like the the outpouring of votes that came in was well above what any of us expected that it would be. And it just goes to show you how strong the community is. So, you know, I absolutely love it. This has been a blast, and I'm very, even honored that we were able to host the award show here on Born to Be Wild. Before we kind of wrap up the show here, Blutrane, you have any final words, on the People's Choice Awards or for yourself, any shout outs or anything that you want to offer up?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for giving me the platform and the venue to host this. Really appreciate it. Having find people to discuss this with really helps to put everything into context. So thank you. Nate, you did a lot of work on just the logistics, including many late nights this week. So thank you for that. As always, the visuals are wonderful. So your hard work is well appreciated.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone that took the time to help select the nominees. I want to thank everyone that were inadvertently left out, or for the categories that were not maybe as fine-tuned as others. Yeah, and that's really it. It was an interesting experience. I didn't expect this to be an experience. I thought this was going to be another low quality meme post on Twitter. But I'm glad that it resonated with people. And I think that there's a lot to celebrate in the wild community.
Absolutely. And also, NHL, let me ask you, before we wrap things up here, any final shout outs or words on our words tonight or the wild community in general?
Yeah, I mean, what needed to be said already has been said. So the words have kind of been taken away from me. But I really want to thank you guys for hosting this. I know I sound like a broken record. You guys have already been thanked so much for doing all the work here. Nate, I know you made a ton of graphics for this. Can't believe you stayed up all night working on this for us. So thank you for that. Thank you, Hydra and Sheep, for also helping out and running this. And thank you, Blutrane, for putting this together originally. This whole People's Choice Awards was your idea, and some of us did push you to make it happen, but in the end, it was, your baby, your content idea, and you really brought a lot of people together here to enjoy and appreciate each other.
Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. Wiser words were never spoken, and you heard that on Born to Be Wild.
Nice.
Hey, you know what? Quick shout out before we end here. Jokes aside, we do have a listener series that we've been running, and I do want to quickly spotlight it before we leave, because it has been a labor of love and much hard work on the part, particularly of our very own Electric Sheep City. But we are at the finals. We are kind of the in between week, but next week after the show, we'll be hosting our final match. So before we wrap up real quick, let me pass it to Sheep to super briefly talk about that, and then we'll wrap up tonight's show.
Yeah, definitely. So for those of you who may not be familiar with our listener series, it's a free Wild Hearthstone tournament series with custom deck building restriction each week. The main series lasts 5 weeks, so the regular season followed by 3 weeks of playoffs. Like Nate said, we are in kind of a week in between, and that's because we are in the finals. And the finals is a really long and kind of intense week. So they're the deck building restriction for the finals is built by the competitors. So the first week involves each of the competitors banning 10 cards per class, and then 15 neutral cards. So that their opponent cannot play. That said, if, for example, Nate and I were playing in the finals, we're not, and I banned Baku, but Nate didn't, that means that I would be able to play odd decks. So one competitor's challenge does not mirror the other in this one. So definitely a battle of the bands here between our finalists, Jules and Kenray. So this past week, Jules and Kenray submitted their bans for one another on Tuesday. Like I said, 10 class cards and 15 neutral cards, where their opponent cannot be incorporating those into their decks. The final deck lists are due this coming Tuesday, and we will spotlight them hopefully next week after the show. So excitement abounds for that. This is definitely, I mean, Jules and Kenray both have put in so much work, not just this week, but every week, making the most innovative decks that they can for every single week. And then not only innovating them, but then playing them as well to perfection. And I mean, it's Sir Julian the Tall, or Jules, and Kenray. Like they're both fantastic players and fantastic deck builders. And we're lucky that we get to spotlight them in the finals of our listener series. So excitement abounds for that. Can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I was running a little bit late, but all of our previous spotlighted matches, they're all on YouTube. If anyone wants to check those out, they're all complete with casting and overlays and graphics and the whole deal. So if you're interested in seeing what the Born to Be Wild listener series looks like, check out our YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Born to Be Wild podcast. The videos are up there, and if you're interested in competing in next season, like we were saying, this season is almost over, but next season typically will start a couple weeks into the next expansion, which really is probably going to be in early to mid-April. So yeah. Anyways, that wraps it up for tonight's show. Thank you in particular to Blutrane and NHL again for donating your time and energy tonight. Blutrane, I loved hearing all of the interviews that you got with our winners, and the whole thing is just wonderful. And so without saying everything that we've already said tonight, just thank you again for your time. It's been an absolute blast. That's it for us. For more wild content, or see where you can contact us individually, check us out online at borntobewildhs.com. And aside from that, we will see you all next week, next Friday night, on another new episode of Born to Be Wild. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yay!
Hooray!
Job's done.